A strong announcement from CleanTech Lithium this morning. The shares have moved well. Here to talk about it, Steve Kesler. Steve, what's the substance of today's announcement?
Well, I think it's very, very significant for the company and perhaps the industry as well, because there's been quite a bit of skepticism in the market about the use of direct lithium extraction. Now, previously, all productions come from hard rock mining in Australia or evaporation ponds in South America. And DLE allows us to obtain what we call sustainable green lithium, with low carbon footprint, low water footprint. But outside of a number of projects in China, there are no commercial facilities around the world, except for one long-standing one in Argentina. So what we've demonstrated is we've established a pilot plant in our facilities in Copiapó in Chile of a sizable scale to produce 1 ton a month of lithium carbonate equivalent. And we've demonstrated the plant will achieve over that production rate, which is good. And we've had the first results out from that pilot plant after operating in the last couple of months. And the results are truly very, very good indeed. We demonstrate in the pilot plant that we get a recovery of lithium from the underground brine at our project Laguna Verde of 94% and an overall recovery of 89%, and we believe that should improve as we get a bit more knowledge about the operation of the pilot plant. And that compares to conventional evaporation ponds, a recovery of 40 to 45%, so a much more efficient process. But with the pilot plant and the use of DLE, it serves two purposes. Now, one is to extract the lithium by using a selective adsorbent, but it's also a purification stage because it adsorbs the lithium onto the resin beads, but it rejects more than 99% of all the other impurities, the calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, which is in the brine. Lithium is only a small part of the elements in the brine, but the resin, it's demonstrated it rejects 99% plus of all the impurities and adsorbs 94% of the lithium. And from that stage, we then take the lithium off the resin using water. It's eluted off that resin to make a fairly pure lithium chloride solution. And that process also concentrates the lithium. So from 200 parts per million in the brine, we're getting over 700 ppm in a fairly pure lithium chloride solution. So the purification's been demonstrated, the concentration's been demonstrated, and now we go on to the next stage. Rather than building our own downstream conversion plant, these are relatively well known. There's a number of conversion plants in Chile, in SQM and Albemarle, in North America. The technology is well known. It's the DLE plant, which is new, and that's what we've demonstrated. We further concentrate that lithium chloride solution using conventional reverse osmosis. And we've engaged or contracted a third party in the United States in Chicago, two Canadian companies, one Conductive Energy and the other one Forward Water Technology. They have an existing plant in Chicago. We will ship in containers, 24 cubic meter containers of our concentrated eluate via Los Angeles, truck it to Chicago, and there it will go through the next stage of further concentration of reverse osmosis and forward osmosis to about 12 to 20,000 ppm lithium, final polishing to remove final traces of calcium, magnesium, boron, and then precipitation with sodium carbonate to produce the battery-grade lithium carbonate. That will be dried, packaged, sent back to us, and we'll use that to introduce our product to potential off-takers and strategic partners. And this is going to be a very important stage because we've said in the past that we want to be at the stage of having completed our PFS, be able to show the economic value of the project, but demonstrate the DLE technology works at scale. And people could come and look at our pilot plant, see it working, and then here is the product which they can take away to start doing their own analysis of chemical and physical properties. So we think it's a very important stage for us now. We believe we're by far the most advanced DLE development company in Chile. As you may be aware, the administrative process is in place at the moment to award operating contracts, and we're very confident that with the work we've demonstrated to date, we'll be first in line from the government to obtain those operating contracts when they start to be announced in July.
Great stuff. So the prospect of lithium production, very real. And given that very real prospect, what are your views on the lithium price, Steve?
Well, I think the problem we've had with lithium is you've had two very large figures. There's been a expected massive growth in the take-up of electric vehicles and a large growth in lithium supply. And clearly, when there's a mismatch, as there was last year, more anticipated growth in supply, the price went up to $80,000 a ton. And there's been a recognition maybe the take-up of electric vehicles has gone a bit slower than people expected. There's been more production coming on stream. The price dropped to about $12,000 a ton a few months ago. It's balancing out now. It's stabilized at about $15,000 a ton. But the long-term projection is still the same. Very rapid growth in take-up of electric vehicles as part of the transition to the green economy, to decarbonize the economy. And there's a structural deficit in the medium to long term in lithium. There are not enough lithium projects that have been identified to meet the world's expected demand. So our brokers and analysts are expecting the price to strengthen in the second half of this year and then get back to what is a good long-term price in the $20,000 to $25,000 a ton, which is what is needed to incentivize new production to come in. And keeping the price level at that is good because it means the batteries will have a stable price. You don't want to be in a position where all the commodities going into it are so expensive, the batteries become too expensive for the man in the street. It's all about getting cheaper batteries into cheaper vehicles to support the mass market for electric vehicles in the future. So we all expect 20 to 25,000 is the long-term price for lithium. And that's what we use in our analyses.
So a good environment to be operating in. Finally, before we wrap it up, what sort of news flow do you guys expect to have in the upcoming months and looking ahead a little bit further?
Well, we've got a number of major things happening. Now, we are AIM listed, but our largest shareholder is Australian Regal Funds. And there's a much deeper pool of finance available in Australia for resource projects. There's a much deeper knowledge of resource projects there. There's maybe 40, 50 lithium companies listed in Australia. So we've been urged to dual list on the ASX. That's coming along. We expect to file our prospectus at the end of this month, early June, and we should be trading in Australia end of June, early July. Then we've got the next and probably the most important piece of news is the government of Chile has announced its process toward operating contracts. And clearly some of the projects will be reserved to majority ownership of the state, the big strategic projects of Atacama and Maricunga. Existing state mining companies, Enami, Codelco, have got interests in 5 or 6 projects. And the private sector are permitted to apply for contracts on another 26 salars, of which we have 2 and are the most advanced company. The government will put out an announcement, they've said on July the 9th, on the results of who wants to be in the lithium business in Chile. and who they see as their priorities to move forward into developing and signing an operating contract. And as I said, we expect to be head of that queue. Then we're going into the pre-feasibility study towards the end of the year. That will be a definition of much better knowledge of our CapEx, OpEx, and the economic value of the project. We've been doing more drilling. We're working with our consultants. We'll be declaring the first maiden reserve on the Laguna Verde project in about July. So a lot of strong news flow during the course of this year. And we expect that all to help strengthen our share price and be good for our shareholders.
Excellent. Lots to look forward to then. Steve Kesler, thanks very much for joining us.
Alistair, nice talking to you. Bye.
Bye.